Hi everyone, my name is Sankey and I'm back with another blues harmonica tutorial. I'm super excited about today's lesson because it's one of my favourite techniques and things about the harmonica that I wanted to share with you. And it's what I call kind of note swirls, and it's how we feather in notes on the harmonica to kind of fatten the sound and give it a kind of different dimension. So if you are a player who can tongue block, this is definitely for you. If you're a player who's interested in this tongue blocking technique, then stay tuned, watch it. It'll hopefully give you motivation to include this style of playing. And the lesson is kind of aimed at kind of intermediate and advanced players. It's quite a challenging thing that we'll be going through. The sound is, you would have heard players like Big Walter Horton do this, William Clark, Kim Wilson. And it really sort of adds a different dimension to the sound of the harmonica, and it's one of the best things about the harmonica sound in my opinion. And it's very difficult to do well, and it's very difficult to do at pace, okay, and to keep the kind of timing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play through a phrase and a lick to illustrate this style of playing and break it down. And then hopefully once you've got the idea of the kind of the technique, you'll be able to kind of make your own variations. But it's a really cool sound. So what I'm going to do, I'll play through a kind of passage, hit this lick, and then we'll backpedal and break it down, okay? So it sounds like this. Alright, so that lick, alright, if I break that down. Now the bit I'm referring to is this kind of sound. Okay, or it's this swirling sound. Alright? And you know, William Clark, fantastic, that Big Walter Horton, Kim Wilson, it's that kind of style. And when I first heard it, I was like, wow, so what's going on there? So what we're doing, right, one of the cool things about the harmonica compared to some other instruments is because you've got all the holes and the reeds next to each other, you can create this kind of fuzz or bleed effect from the other reeds, and then before or after you hit the main note that you want. So as opposed to having a phrase which sounds like this, where you're literally hitting the notes very vanilla, right, the reeds, so you got using the tongue to control the airflow and make each note snap, but with a bit of bleed from the other reeds before it hits, you can change the sound dramatically to this. So rather than you get this kind of swirling sound, almost an organ type sound, right? And that's really the essence of what we're talking about. It's this kind of what I call note swirls, and it's taking you into this feathering effect. So before kind of going through the exact notes, all right, the idea, as I say, principle here that many of you are already familiar with, and it doesn't matter, actually you can do this without tongue blocking. If you're a lip person, you can do this. If you take the draw 2, for example, you know, when you hear people like Dennis Grueling and you know, really cool players, they've got something extra happening in some of their notes, and often it's this feathering technique. So rather than just hitting a draw 2 and going, there's this snap, right? It's a little rushing effect, right? And what that is, it's starting with a loose embouchure and then controlling it so the note comes into focus, right? And you only do it for a fraction of a second, but it makes all the difference. And when you use that technique on a string of notes, on a phrase, it transforms it from to night and day, right? So that's it. The way that we're doing it is we're letting a bit of air hit the surrounding holes, and then we're tightening the embouchure. Now you can do this, as I said, lip pursed, by just starting with the lips slightly wider and then bringing the note you want into focus. Okay? And, you know, to be perfectly honest, on lower key harps, such as an A, such as a G, in cross position, on the bottom 2 or 3 holes, it's going to sound very close to someone who's tongue blocking. But as you move up with higher key harps, and as you move up the harmonica into hole 4, hole 5, and so on, the lip pursing, you can't really achieve the same sound lip pursing. This is where this tongue blocking technique comes in. So it's a combination of slapping the tongue onto the harmonica, but controlling it in such a way that you get this bleeding effect, all right? So the way to get a handle on this sound, I would say, is take the draw 4, for example, and start off with a chord, right, an open chord, and then learn to kind of slap the tongue on to create a single note, draw 4. So like I say, this video is aimed at people who can already tongue block, right? So if you can hit single notes, by taking your tongue on and off the harmonica, you can work out how to create this bleeding, swirling effect. Now that lifting on and off and then onto the harmonica is what creates this swirling effect, all right? So you have to play around with that, and I think draw 4 is a good hole to do that on, good reed. And you can do it on draw 3, obviously, draw 2, and draw 1. What we want to do is we want to string several notes together like that, all right? So, the lick itself, all right? The first part of the phrase is draw 3, half step bend, or maybe a little bit higher, okay? It's bent down, you have to use your ear for that. Draw 4, draw 5, blow 5, draw 4, back to the draw 3, with a little bend, half step or just a little bit sharp, higher. So it sounds like this. Now what you're looking for is that swirling sound. Okay? And like all these things, go slow and get a real handle on the technique rather than trying to go fast. But trying to do this at pace is really difficult to do well, but once you get it, it's really like a beautiful thing gliding over the harmonica, and it's very percussive in a way that your contact with the harmonica is a different feel compared to lip pursing. And yeah, it's a really beautiful thing of being able to feather in and control these notes. So we got the draw 3, half step bend, draw 4, draw 5, blow 5, draw 4, back onto the draw 3, half step. And just to labour the point, the whole point is, without this technique, these notes would sound like... But if we bring this swirling thing in, completely different, right? Much cooler in certain circumstances. Okay, so once you've hit back round to that draw 3, half step bend, what you're going to do is you're immediately going to go on the next beat to the draw 5, then to the draw 4, blow 4, draw 4, all right? So those two bits together sound like this. So draw 5, draw 4, blow 4, draw 4, and onto that draw 3 half step bend, or just a little bit sharper. Okay, so just bringing those two bits together. is. All right, and I'm not cupping the harp there, and it's still a kind of a big sound. If you're playing that through an amp or you cup it, you know, you really do fatten the sound up, you know. Right, so once you've hit this draw 3, okay, then we're going to go draw 2, rolling bend onto the draw 1. Now at this point you can switch to lip pursing, all right, but you're not going to get this sound on the first part of the lick unless you're tongue blocking, right? Very important. But once you hit that half step bend at the back, you can switch to lip pursing for that draw 2. Lip pursing. Right, I'll hit that tongue blocking. Then you go rolling bend onto the draw 1. Then we do blow 2, but tongue blocked, blow 3, tongue blocked, draw 3, half step bend, blow 4, and then draw 4, half step bend, rolling onto the 3, and then back to the draw 4, half step bend, and it's rolling up to just a plain draw 4, and then we go to the blow 6. Now this is where we can really bring that swirling effect back in, right? So rather than just going right, what we can do is we can use this swirling effect and we can come up on the harmonica so it sounds like this, more like this. You got that little organ sound before. Right? So then what we do, we hit the blow 6 in that style, and then we end it on a tongue flutter on the draw 5, all right, which is the predominant note, this sound. So it's flapping the tongue onto the harmonica. So the back half of that phrase sounds like this. Okay, very cool. So if we bring the whole thing together. Right, slow down a bit more. Okay, now just to focus in on one particular key moment, all right, in the phrase, is that you got the first phrase. Now, when you go to the draw 5 next, that is where you really want to accentuate this swirling sound onto the draw 4, blow 4, and then back onto the draw 4. So this part, that whole sequence is where you can really emphasize, if you play around with it, the bleeding, feathering effect of the tongue coming on and off the harmonica. Okay, that is a key moment in this phrase. All right. Now, like I said, it's difficult to do this at pace, so slow it down, and what you're looking is you're still trying to hit each note in time on the beat, but you're using this feathering effect to create almost like a halo effect around all the other around the kind of main notes. And as I said, just to labour the point again, this is all about transforming notes from this to, that's the essence of what we're talking about, right? But that lifting on and off and that opening, closing and feathering of the embouchure at pace is tricky. But once you get it, it's a beautiful thing, right? So, one more time. Okay? So I hope that gives you a lot to think about. I've really broken down the nuances. I've probably repeated myself several times, but I hope you found that useful. I forgot to mention we're using an A harmonica in the key of E in cross position. So sorry about that. Hopefully you'll be able to work. If you can play this, you'll be able to work out the key. So I'm not feeling too bad. This isn't for beginners. Yeah. Once again, thank you for all your support and interest in my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I also have a country blues series available to rent on Vimeo. So if you go to vimeo.com/blues harmonica, you can find some of my other lessons there. So anyway, I hope that's useful and thank you very much.